It's my very great honor to introduce our 2015 Convocation guest speaker, Dr. William Dietz, Director of the Sumner M. Redstone Global Center for Prevention and Wellness at the Milken Institute School of Public Health at George Washington University. Dr. Dietz previously served at the Centers for Disease Control as the Director of the Division of Nutrition, Physical Activity, and Obesity in the Center for Chronic Disease and Prevention and Health Promotion. Prior to his appointment to the CDC, he was a professor of pediatrics at the Tufts University School of Medicine and director of clinical nutrition at the Floating Hospital of New England Medical Center Hospitals. He is the author of more than 200 scientific publications and the editor of 5 books, including Clinical Obesity in Adults and Children and Nutrition, What Every Parent Needs to Know. Dr. Dietz has received numerous awards and accolades for his work in nutrition, physical education, pediatrics, and obesity, including the George Bray Founders Award from the North American Association for the Study of Obesity in 2005, and the Nutrition Award from the American Academy of Pediatrics in 2006. He was elected in 1998 to the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences and served as a counselor and past president of the American Society for Clinical Nutrition and past president of the North American Association for the Study of Obesity. Dr. Dietz graduated from Wesleyan University in 1966 and earned his medical degree from the University of Pennsylvania in 1970. After completing his residency at Upstate Medical Center in Syracuse, New York, he went on to earn a PhD in nutritional biochemistry from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's my very great honor and sincere privilege to introduce Dr. William Dietz.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, for that kind introduction. Ms. Zavello, graduates, faculty, parents, families, and guests. I want to begin by recognizing your parents for their love, guidance, inspiration, sacrifice, and support. You can take great pride in your children's accomplishments and in the career choices that they've made. Thank you. To paraphrase Anthony Lake, being a commencement speaker is a bit like being the corpse at an Irish wake. No one expects you to say very much, but you're needed for the party. It's truly a privilege to be invited to give the Sargent College commencement address, and I'm honored by the thought that I may have something meaningful to say to you at this time of your transition. Your departure from this institution that's nurtured you and taught you to a new phase of learning and autonomy. One caution, don't mistake graduation for your entry into adulthood. Adolescence is an extended process that is not age-bound. My own adolescence ended sometime in my 40s. I can assure you that continued growth is a very good thing. In his new book entitled The Road to Character, David Brooks points out that our culture has transitioned from a culture of humility to a culture of the big me. He cites a Gallup poll from 1950 which asked high school seniors if they considered themselves to be very important. In 1950, 12% considered themselves very important. By 2005, 80% of young people considered themselves very important. There's also been a substantial increase in the desire for fame. In 1976, fame was ranked number 15 out of 16 life goals. By 2007, over 50% of young people said that being famous was one of their most important life goals. Brooks goes on to distinguish a life measured in marketplace metrics like accomplishments, salaries, promotions, from a life characterized by humility and service. Measures of the first he calls resume virtues, and the second he calls eulogy virtues. Today's culture celebrates resume virtues. Eulogy virtues, empathy, kindness, sacrifice, and service celebrate character and the differences that a person makes in the lives of others. Ironically, eulogy virtues are rarely celebrated in life, only after someone dies. But I believe that with the choice of your careers, you've chosen service rather than fame and fortune. In my view, nothing could be more rewarding than a life of service. I hope you recognize that the fields of health sciences or physiology or nutrition or careers in speech and hearing, dietetics, occupational or physical therapy, or athletic training are not lucrative. However, I believe your career will be much more fulfilling than anything money can buy. Your choice of careers reflects a sense of purpose. A recent study of adults who were able to state a purpose for their life reported much greater life satisfaction than adults who could not. Entering a health profession is akin to entering a ministry. You've acquired the great privilege and responsibility to minister to people in ways that no others can. The healing touch, or the power of laying on hands, is not a myth. Think for a moment about how fundamentally skin-to-skin contact between a mother and her newborn creates a vital and extraordinary bond at a profound and largely unconscious level. Don't underestimate the ways and the power in which you touch your patients and how that will renew that bond. But remember also that the body is only the case for the spirit. The care you deliver to the spirit is at least, if not more important than the care that you deliver to the body. Ministry to the spirit will help those whom you serve find resilience in the face of adversity. Care for the spirit is informed by how we care for the patient. Care is a partnership, and that must include shared decision-making. Shared decision-making requires respect for the patient, their needs, and their goals. Care for the spirit begins with the recognition that the patient is not his or her disease. For example, for many years, I talked about obese people rather than people with obesity. Only recently did I realize that that language created an identity. It defined a person by their disease. We don't talk about cancer people or asthma people. When we talk about people with obesity or people with disabilities, we separate the person from their disease, and that changes the perceptions and politics both of the patient and of their disease. For example, when we talk about obese people, it infers that they're responsible for their disease, whereas when we talk about people with obesity, we perceive the person as distinct from their disease. Second, recognize that your patient's goals must be foremost, and that our responsibility is to discuss both the benefits and the risks of care that we deliver. Shared decision-making requires humility, the recognition that our perspective must be subordinate to our patients' needs and their priorities. Although we may prioritize a problem like obesity, it may not be at the top of our patients' lists of concerns. It's not up to us to decide what's best for our patients, but rather to provide our patients with the information they need to decide what is best for them. We should not be the decider. To care for others, you must also care for yourself. Among the most important things that you can do for yourself is to find silence. We're immersed in information all the time. Facebook, Twitter, instant messaging. There's never been a time when there's been more information, more access to that information, and more noise. The information glut has several consequences. It delivers information in nuggets that often fail to convey the complexity of an issue. In human health and biology, we cannot settle for simplicity. Life does not fit into a tweet or a text message. Second, the cacophony of voices leaves little space for silence and reflection. Make time for that silence. Within that space, you're likely to find insight, learning, and redemption. Quiet reflection that will allow you to sift the information stream for meaning that resonates with your inner self. Count on serendipity. Horace Walpole invented the word serendipity in 1754 and used the word to mean the discovery of things that were not being sought. Examples of accidental serendipity include Röntgen's discovery of X-rays by seeing their effects on photographic plates, or Fleming noticing the effects of penicillin mold on cultures of bacteria. Serendipity applies equally to the opportunities that life offers. Opportunity comes in the most unexpected ways. The only decision about my career that I ever made well in advance was to become a physician, and I made that decision in elementary school. Each subsequent step along the way was completely serendipitous, from immunology to undernutrition, from undernutrition to obesity, and from clinical medicine to public health. My decisions turned on chance and opportunity, not on how I would get to where I am today. Waiting for serendipity and capitalizing on serendipity requires a willingness to take risks and is not easy. Be patient. Doors will open. In closing, I suspect that you're all familiar with the book Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCluskey. As you know, this story is set in Boston and concerns a mother duck ushering her ducklings from their nest along the Charles River to the pond in the public garden with help from a friendly policeman. You've probably also seen the bronze sculptures of Mrs. Mallard and her ducklings, Jack, Cack, Lack, Mack, Knack, Whack, Pack, and Quack, in the public garden. Friends of mine own a fifth-floor condominium, several doors in from Arlington Street on Commonwealth Avenue. And one year, a mallard nested in their balcony, 5 floors above the street. As the incubation of the eggs progressed, my friends became increasingly concerned about how the ducklings were going to get to the street below. Fortunately, they were home when the mother initiated this process by nudging the ducklings one at a time off the 5th-floor balcony. Instead of plummeting like stones, the ducklings floated down by using their down, very much like milkweed. And when they reached the street, the mother collected them and, with the help of my friends, crossed Arlington Street and safely to get to the public garden. So as you leave this nest, may you land softly and safely. Continue to grow, learn, and most importantly, give of yourselves to those who need you. As the author David Nichols has said, it is better by far to be good and courageous and bold and to make a difference. Not to change the world exactly, but the bit around you. Now more than ever, we need your compassion, your humility, your energy, your optimism, your intellect, and your commitment. Congratulations, good luck, and safe travels.